So I'm going to go full Mike Tyson on you here, which is everybody had a plan until they got smacked in the face, right?
I was going to say, yeah.
Right? That's his famous quote. It's not a prediction, but I feel, and I'm not being a doomsayer, I think 2026 is going to be, it's my favorite word, worser than we've seen the last 6-7 years. I think we are headed on a collision course where it's either going to, explode and even more heck's going to break loose. And I feel that for a few reasons, right? I feel like, back to wars, we're trying to put like the lid on the pot on a bunch of stuff happening around the world.
Yep.
I think we're overly optimistic. And I think even some of the things that look settled are less settled than we imagine. I think that you've got a U.S. Government that's on the run and worried about the midterms. So something's going to happen between those midterms next November.
Yep.
And we know the U.S. has a big... and then I think we've got the reality that you got some economies around the world that are kind of like they're on tenterhooks, right? And we know that economic peril creates all sorts of backlash, and you name it.
Yeah.
And the underlying indicators, quite frankly, of the U.S. economy are really bad, right? So how do you toughen your teams up for let's go glass half empty here, like? To your point, human-centric leadership, but how do you toughen your teams up for we're going to have, you said resilience. You and I talked about resolve. How do we get them in shape without making them run and hide? Because that's the fear I'm sensing. Don't get me wrong. There's people out there doing well and financially, but there's a sense of the auto market could fall out or this could fall out or, the plans Canada's making to deal with the tariffs are going to take 10 years to implement.
Yeah, or AI. I recently read an article around the ROI on AI is not what people expect.
No, it's 2%
right now. And
the KPMG study ROI in Canada,
2%.
2% of the organizations that have implemented AI are seeing positive ROI.
Yeah, and lots has been invested, right? So there is this risk of this bubble being created that also might burst in 2026.
And along those lines, the 7 big tech companies are 40% of the S&P. So if they go, right, we're back to I lived through 2008. I don't think you were in North America at the time, but overnight it happened. I lived through 9/11. I lived through the early 90s.
Yeah.
So toughen up the teams.
Back to your question, how do you get your team?
Yeah, you've led teams for a long time.
Right.
Get them ready for the poop show coming up.
Yeah, and admittedly, I don't. I also don't have all the answers, right?
No,
so it is kind of, I think, still going back to creating the conditions where people can do what they do best.
Yep.
Help build confidence in people's own ability that they and we together can get through things.
Yeah.
So I think more connection points rather than less to make sure that you kind of continuously stay in touch, and continuous kind of reflection and learning to show that even when things do not go as planned, we can figure it out. We kind of take smaller steps, but we'll figure it out together. So a lot of attention to the individual within the collective and making sure that everyone also has some level of confidence in themselves and in us as a group or in whatever organization there is to make it through together and not do a my boyfriend always jokes about this kind of when we were in a canoe and the water got a little wilder than I expected. I just did this.
Right.
Let's not do this.
Yeah.
and let's align on what we do and what kind of how we help each other through it. I think that's ultimately
and the data supports you because it shows Gen Z and millennial colleagues like more frequent check-ins and like more conversations. Right. People my age tend to be, no, we're over here, and a little more we've got a plan, we'll stick to it. But the data supports your comment, which is more check-ins. I think the other thing is just the mere fact we're having the conversation. I think having the conversation, stuff could go wrong. We're going to hit choppy water.
Yeah. I think the not denying it and the transparency, the openness about what we don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what we often see in leadership teams too, that they're hesitant to share information because they don't have any information. But also in those scenarios, sometimes what might feel like oversharing or too much about the process helps a lot of people around you to just know that they're not being kept in the dark.
Yeah.
It's just dark out.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh, I like that. Put that on a t-shirt. But you got me to make a prediction, which is,
Yes.
there's a win. But you were saying something earlier, which I liked, and I'd love to actually hear your thoughts on this more because I'm taking notes, by the way, where you were talking about the different scenarios. So what's the spectrum of scenarios that people should create for 2026? Like, is it 5? Is it 3? Is it 10? And what's the best scenario they should look at? And what's the worst scenario they should look at?
Ooh, I think that really depends. I mean, this is a not an helpful answer. It really depends on the business that you're in. I think in terms of numbers of scenarios, I would always say like 3 to 5 because that's just something that's manageable and not overwhelming.
Right.
But the depth of them or what goes in it, I think AI is definitely something that should be on everyone's radar. And a choice to not do anything with it is also a choice, right? But at least think through it. And the other side is also true. I don't think you should kind of build a scenario where you're too dependent on AI in that case. But yeah, I go back to kind of when we think about scenarios, it is around like what's the level of uncertainty and the level of impact on your business. So I think as a business, you can also not solve for the world's problems, right? So keep it close to what impacts your business and start building your scenarios from
and if you're using kind of classic quadrant scenario planning, then you throw those on the X and Y axis. And you say, up here, we have no control. Down here, we have ultimate control. Probably neither of those are going to happen.
No.
But
and then you focus on it.
But I like that was a good answer. I like that 3 to 5.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There was something else that I wanted to bring up. When you said in preparation for this episode, you also said like if you thought 2025 was crazy, then get yourselves ready for 2026.
Yeah.
But the Chinese zodiac calendar supports what you said too. The year of the fire horse.
What is a fire horse?
Well, I think
you and I both want to make a crack, and we could tell we're both like, no, can't say that in a podcast, so we're going to pull back. Let me ask a question again. Bonnie, please tell me what is a fire
about the year of the
What
fire
is a fire horse?
Historically, some cultures believed, or might still believe, that women specifically that were born in the year of the fire horse, happens every 60 years, by the way, would not make for great wives.
I know, I read this. That's why I wanted you to say it, because if I say it, I'm going to come across as...
and some go as far as they would kill their husbands. So the last year of the fire horse, which was 1966.
Good math.
There was a large decline or a huge decline in birth rates because people didn't want to get fire horse babies.
Right.
Anyway, that aside, the prediction still is a year of a fire horse comes with like disruption, reinvention, something big is going to happen and it's uncertain until it happens. So I think, we should get ourselves ready for the year of the fire horse.
Yeah. And, when we had this conversation, then I went down this rabbit hole as well, the fire horse. And birth rates were down. But next year's a great year to invest in funeral homes, just by the way, since all the husbands are going to be, yes, I said that out loud. I don't think it's far-fetched, and I'm happy to go on record, and I'm not trying to be a doomsayer, but getting back to my prediction that we have the ingredients for a very tumultuous year. I think the flip side of that, because there's another side to every coin, is that if, for example, all those things that could go wrong, like if the dominoes fell one way, we have a catastrophe. The upside is they could fall the other way. So again, not a prediction. And I guess some people say, well, this is a big cop-out. But I think next year is going to be a year of extremes.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be Melbatos, middle, a plus 2% year. It's either going to be we had some defining moment.
Yeah.
And some things about defining moments, like nobody would have really understood where COVID would have taken us, right? And that defining moment could be really bad or it could be really good.
Right. And for leaders listening
Mm-hmm.
to us right now, what would be your best advice to them in how to prepare for that?
Well, I love what you said earlier about like having lots of touch points. I think that if you haven't done scenario planning yet, so you and I started this conversation about New Year's resolutions and we got into planning. I think that it's not too late in December. You know, one of the challenges of a month like December, it's like an August, the 12 months don't feel weighted equally, but I think December is an incredible opportunity to get the stuff done you want to get done for next year. But I think it's a great time as well to say, okay, let's build that continuum, the worst and best case thing we could possibly imagine.
Yep.
And then I get somebody else to push even further. And then I would map out, if this happens, how are we going to respond and how are we going to react? And what are those variables or those signal lights that are going to make you go in a certain direction? I had a conversation, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, maybe longer. Yeah, it must have been with a CMO who talked about the difference for them, Canadian CMO, of COVID versus tariffs. And his comment was, during COVID, he protected share.
Yeah.
And during tariffs, he's going to try to take share. And so here you have two unbelievably unpredictable instances that we really had no idea. There's no playbook how to deal with them. I mean, one of the things I think you and I, as we're talking, we're both thinking, what's this playbook?
Yeah.
The playbook we want doesn't exist.
No, we have to create it.
But I thought that's really interesting. Like over here, I built a wall and a moat, and over here I'm going on the offensive. So my advice would be, are you protecting share? Are you here to gain share? Are you trying to expand sales, or do you want to maximize profit? Do you want to secure lines of supply? Like, who would have known that in the pulp and paper business that we'd be running through toilet paper and paper towels and facial tissues, right, during COVID? Yeah. So that would be, for me, be like, where in your ecosystem could things be challenged? And so I can tell you in my own personal planning, because as much as you and I talked about being collaborative, I also, for my own sanity, have to look at everything and map it out a little bit. And I'm a little bit behind in my own personal 2026 planning. But even when I was doing, last night I was doing my November review, because I have a little personal system. And it was interesting because I love to look at what happened in this November, and then I'm looking at last November, and now I'm thinking about next November. And, you know, one of the things that came really clear to me coming from last year to this year is I probably wasn't prepared enough last November for how goofy this year could be. Like we weren't talking about, as Canadians, tariffs in 51 states.
No, that's true. Okay, so scenario planning is definitely part of it.
Yeah.
I think to bring it even kind of closer to home or like more tangible, we've talked about like frequent team check-ins, kind of really build your team for resilience, for lack of a better word.
Make them do push-ups.
Reflections, make them do push-ups. Micro habits for reflection, looking forward, and still keeping that kind of purpose alignment with that longer term vision, but maybe make that a bit more aspirational, not as quantified as your 30.
And I think to your point of long-term vision, don't lose sight of it. Like you're going to be there, right?
And it could really help you inform kind of that scenario planning.